All right, Athlete Builder. It's me and Pat today, Jim, and I got Pat Ivey. I'm in the library. Pat's at his place. Oh, man, got a good one today. Got a big dude, big resume, big brain, right? So, 4-year NFL vet out of University of Missouri. Played all over the D line, a little bit outside linebacker in college, and then once that ended, really got to work. Master's degree, PhD. Now he's at University of Louisville. What's he do there? You got to check this out. I'm the designated healthcare administrator, so team physicians roles were reported up through this designation. Sports performance medicine, sports nutrition, sports science, mental health, mental performance, all those departments run through him. He's also the president of the board of directors for CSCS, so the Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association, board of trustee at Logan University, and he's owner of Pat Ivey Performance. So he works with student athletes. He's got 2 different podcasts he's got going on. He's got ebooks, blogs, and 20 plus years getting himself better and everyone else around him. And we got lots of topics to go on. Started asking some hard questions before we even started the show. I got a whole list of questions already. But first, man, Pat, thanks for coming to the show, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it, Jim. This is a pleasure. We got introduced maybe a week ago, and this thing accelerated and moved fast. But I think when the caliber of the person who made the connection reaches out and says, "Hey, can something happen?" I think that level of respect, we acknowledge it, and then we reciprocate it. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Thank you. It's a trickle down effect. Chad Coy is a pro strongman. He's a master coach for Parisi Speed School, and he was out of Indiana, went to Missouri. He met Dr. Como, and she's going to be opening up a gym. PhD. She's been working with the NFL on head trauma, and she was a guest on the show. So I met Chad at my gym 10 years ago. I started doing this, and he came on the show. He introduced me to Dr. Como. Doc texts me, goes, "Hey, get a hold of Pat." I'm like, "I don't know Pat, so let me just look at him a little bit." I'm like, "Yep, we want him for sure." And she made the hookup. So how did you end up meeting Dr. Como?
Actually, one of my former assistants, Kyle Oberweather, works for her and with her, and made the introduction. The work that she's doing in brain health and the work that I'm a part of at University of Louisville and other places is something that he thought would be a good idea for us to meet. And so we've had several conversations. University of Missouri, University of Louisville, we're having collaborative conversations, and we're trying to see where we can, help each other.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. They say that the NFL is just an experience. It's not a career. So 4 years, right? And one of the first questions I had was, what's that like getting drafted, or when you got introduced to the NFL? Like, you're sitting around and you got to have all these things going through your head, and you're still as driven or as smart as you are. You're just 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old kid, right? Not nearly as smart as you are, not as wise as you are now. What's going on through your head there? And like, what are your thoughts? Like, man, like, what's that period of your life like, right, as you're leaving college, going to the NFL?
Yeah, well, my college career, so my first few years was pretty much a big learning process for me. So I didn't really get a chance to have any significant playing time until the end of my career. And with that would land me around being a late round draft pick. And things happen. I was having conversations, end up becoming a undrafted free agent. So actually, it was actually probably a better situation. Missed out on a little bit of signing bonus, but I actually had a choice between 3 teams by being a free agent. And then when you have a choice, then you get to look at the roster. You get to look at maybe the caliber of talent that they have on that team, maybe who they just drafted, and then get to have conversations with my agent and go back and forth with the teams, and then decide, okay, from a signing bonus standpoint, from a potential and opportunity standpoint, make a decision. And so at that point in time, the Chargers is the team that we went with. And that was a good decision at that point in time. And I had a really good experience. So, sitting around waiting to be drafted, didn't get drafted. So there was the disappointment there. It's only 7 rounds. But still having the chance to make it as a free agent, which is hard, because you got to go beat out draft picks now.
Right.
And you may be beating out some draft picks that are not in your position. So you may have to be out a late round or mid round running back or receiver, defensive back. You have to make an impact in the room to make it better than someone else is making an impact in another room. So it's very competitive. You have to realize quickly that these men now in a room are feeding their families off of this game. It's no longer I'm here to get a degree, or if I'm not good enough, I get, moved down to second or third team. No, now you get cut. Now you get to make the phone call on the way home to your significant other and let them know that potentially your family, your kids are going to be pulled out of school. You're going to be moving, and life's going to change. And it just changed, and it's beyond your control. So we can keep going down that road, but it was a great experience. I grew a lot. At the same time, it's made me who I am.
Mm. It's got to be true. You're some of a lot of things, and one is definitely your experiences. Two is the people around you. And when I talk to these kids, because we've had kids that go on to play in college, and they got offers right away. We have some kids that are walk-ons that they have to earn an offer a year or two later. And one of the things I tell them is, you versus the other guys in your position group. Let's say it's safety. Like if you're graded out at a 70 and the guy ahead of you is a 70, and then you bump up to a 71, that's not enough. If you're really close, psychologically in those coaches' minds, you're just close. So now they can go on with something they already know versus you more of an unknown, and even if you're grading out similarly. I like the Grant Cardone approach where his motto is 10x. And so it's got to be overwhelming. You can't be a 70. You got to be like 98, 93. The coach has to feel stupid for not playing you. And then you start moving up. So at your level, like in college, there's 80, now 100, 105 scholarships. You guys have 53 plus practice squad, right? So talk about that mindset of, I'm not drafted. I got to beat up my position and some others around you in different groups. Just tell me about that approach and that mindset, because you got to be right there or nothing else follows.
Well, you go from this euphoric state, where all of a sudden you're a college athlete, you are working out, you're training, there's pro days, some guys go to combines, and you go through all of this poking and prodding and question answering and assessments to a point where you're receiving a phone call, you're signing a contract, and then you're on a plane. And you land, and there are other athletes, other players in your similar situation. Some were drafted, some signed free agent, and you show up, and the first thing you have is physicals, and you may have a team meeting. And at that point, you, as that class of draft picks and free agents, you're lumped together. So at that point, you may not really know who's draft pick, who's not. And you don't understand the dynamics. Like you get, okay, that guy's a first round draft pick, guy's a second round draft pick, but you don't understand someone just invested a lot of money in someone. Like you're not thinking like that. You're not thinking that they signed someone, but they have how much did they even sign for? What's their signing bonus? Before you even get paid, there's an investment, and you're not just competing with them on the field. You're competing with the investment that was made in them versus the investment that was made in you.
Right.
So now that's just that class. The management brought you in to potentially compete or take someone else's job that they brought in the year before or years before, or possibly even someone that they signed as a as a free agent from another team who could have been to the Pro Bowl the year before in your position. And now you have to learn this game. You got to learn the offense or defense, the plays. You got to develop trust with the coaching staff and the management. You have team dynamics. You're a rookie. So, hey, Rook, carry my books. Like, okay, I'm supposed to try to beat this person out in my same position, but I'm carrying his backpack or books. Like, oh, I was the big dog. Like, just 6 months ago, I was the big dog to now I'm the puppy. All right, that's the dynamic. That's a dynamic I got to deal with. Now I've got this vet I want to learn from because I've watched this vet. And this vet is looking at me saying, yeah, I know why you're here, Rook.
Yeah.
But you're not taking food off of my plate. Like, whoa, okay, all right. All right, so how am I going to do this? How am I going to be mentally tough enough to be able to block out these distractions, be confident in who I am and why I am here, and deliver? And I got to whoop somebody lined up across from me on top of it. So I'll pause there, Jim.
So that's the question. Like, you're going against someone who's already a pro or, been a pro. And so these are, like you said, grown-ass men. And you have all this pain and pressure before you're even down in your stance or before you even put pads on. You have this pain and pressure. So now it's that focus. When they talk about, SEALs going through Hell Week, they want them just to be able to handle that next evolution, the next task. Don't think about the whole day and just get through this task and then get to the next task. So hopefully you can get to a meal. Maybe you can hope and look to a meal later. That's how far your horizon is.
Yeah.
They train you to whittle it down so it's so small, so you just focus on that next step, so you don't quit. So that that's got to be one piece. And if they draft other linemen ahead of you, they're probably getting more reps. And then you talk about the investment. Isn't there an egotistical, emotional investment, whether you're a college coach recruiting a D lineman or you're the GM or scout that's drafting a D lineman that says, hey, Pat's my guy. I want Pat, right? So now that same guy has to say, you know what? I wanted Pat, but Brian was better. Sorry, I know I told you Pat. I know I recruited Pat to come to play at Missouri, but Brian's better. We got to move Pat down to the twos. Like, isn't that hard for the coaches and the staff to have that humility to say, hey, I was off, or maybe I was right, but Pat just showed up and proved himself more. There has to be a switch in their heads where they say, we were going this way, now we're picking Pat. We want Pat to stay. Because if you're undrafted free agent, they're not saying we want you to stay. We say we want you to be a body and test other folks. And if you make it, great. But if not, we're not really counting on you. But you stayed 4 years. So how does that happen?
That's real, Jim. That's real. And there's some stories I maybe we'll get to it. Maybe I'll be able to share them. But, I'll tell you one story. I've heard of a quarterback, an NFL quarterback, going to management. They were getting ready to cut a defensive end. And the quarterback said, you can't cut that backup defensive end because I need him here for my emotional support. Oh, yeah. And and management go, oh,
okay,
I'm not cutting that backup defensive end because the quarterback said, I need that guy here for my emotional support. So let me back up. Let me back up a little more, Jim. So I'm with the Chargers. I go to the first mini camp. It's a whirlwind. Stuff's happening. You're trying to figure it out. Then there's a second mini camp a few weeks later. All right, that second mini camp, at that point, you're like, okay, I know what's going on a little bit more now. Here's what I learned at that second mini camp. I watched Junior Seau, Kurt Gavea, Lou Bush, linebackers. I watched Junior Seau have the most jokes on the sideline. Laughing, joking, and I'm watching like, this is not what I pictured, because you don't see this part. on NFL game day. And this is before there was the shows that went behind the scenes. So you're like, they laugh, they have fun. When the ones were called to go back on the field and the chin snap was buckled, and I saw a switch get flipped so fast from funny, hilarious to serious assassin.
Yes.
And I went, whoa, I've got a dimmer switch that turns up slow. I was like, so I go back to Missouri and I said, okay, we've got 4 weeks off or whatever it was between that second mini camp and training camp. I've got to take my dimmer switch and turn it into an on-off switch. And now I didn't have the skills I knew I had to do it because I saw it. It's like, I don't have that. And if I'm going to make it, I better get me a switch and get rid of this dimmer. Because by the time I turn it up and I won't make it here.
Too slow.
It's too slow.
Yeah.
And so I think that was getting at what you were asking.
Yeah. When they talk about sports or games of inches, and we talk about all the time, you can see it in everything. And it's the inches on the field. It's the inches all week long. At that pro level, the elite level, the fastball's coming better. The breaking ball's better. The sniper rifle has to, it's life or death. It's in the U.S. Open. You're in the NFL. It's not inches. It's inch. You can't go 3 plays. That's all right. Well, they got a first down. I got another, 3 downs to stop them on third down. No, you already wasted 3, and there's a ripple effect, and the defense is getting more tired, and the coach is upset. And so it's an inch. And so when it's first down, it's, intensity equals results. You have to be intense and focused from the get-go. You can't just take some time to warm up. I'll feel out the game and all, because you're at the elite level now. And someone else you said assassin. Like I watch and I don't know, I'm watching from TV, so you don't know anything from really TV, but I watch the documentaries all the time and say I was hurting people, right? And if you're screwing around or just you're at an 8 and you should be at a 10, not only you're not going to make a play, you're going to get hurt bad. And then it's another phone call to the doctor and your wife, right? Would you say that's your welcome to the NFL moment when you saw that switch with Junior, or something else?
That had to be it. That is something that I thought I was good at. I thought my dimmer switch was good. I was like, some guys don't have a switch at all. Like, at least I was like, I can turn it up and then I can turn it down.
Right.
But that was different.
Okay. What about back up even a few more years? You're coming out of high school. You're going to play at a big school in Missouri. What was your welcome to college football moment? Or do you remember back then? I know it's been a minute.
Oh, wow. That was so much of a culture shock. I came from inner city Detroit, Michigan, to a college town of less than 100,000 people in the middle of the country, in the middle of Missouri. And that alone, I couldn't understand why the banks and stores didn't have plexiglass separating the customers from the workers. So trying to understand that I'm now on a college campus, I'm out of mom and dad's house, and the level of survival skills that I had developed that were really not applicable anymore.
A little safer. Right.
And so you get to campus in college back then, you get to campus 2 days before training camp. So you get to go to Golden Corral with your family. They drop you off. You go to Golden Corral maybe 2 days in a row,
right?
And then they're out of there,
right?
All right, and then it's football. And back then it was 2 days,
right?
And so trying to make all of all of that work and adapt to all of that was overwhelming.
Sure.
It was overwhelming. So I've got to compete on the field, and I don't even understand the culture that I'm living in.
Different demographic.
Yes.
Yes. Right. We talked about that a little bit before the show started. How was that adjustment for you?
How was it?
Yes.
It was interesting. It was interesting. I wasn't in it by myself though. That's the thing. So I had teammates. I had 2 other teammates from Detroit, Michigan. We were very much in the same sort of state of shock. And where are we? We're here to play ball, but we were prepared to play ball at that level and make that adjustment because that's what you're working towards. What you're not prepared for is that these survival skills and that environment you came from, you won't need those skills and that mentality here. Your frown that allowed you to survive and your scowl that allowed you to survive on the streets just trying to go to school, you're going to have to replace that with a smile when you walk on this college campus and around this college town. Like you're like, well, just turn a smile to a smile into a frown into a smile. No. It was a mentality that we showed up with that we thought was necessary. We knew was necessary for survival. And now not knowing that, hey, that's not going to work here.
Wow.
But not even be provided the necessary tools and skills to trade out.
No one probably pulled you aside and said, hey, here's something you need to know. They probably didn't do that because they don't. How do you recognize that? If you're in a physically and mentally challenging environment, let's say Detroit's could be a little challenging environment, right?
Yep.
That frown just makes you look a little bit more pissed off, and it sets the tone that if you're looking at this person, hey, don't fuck with me, right? And
Yep.
so you already got a little barrier up as a self-defense mechanism.
Yep.
Right. And then you go to somewhere else where it's not necessary, and they're like, well, that dude's just an asshole. Right. He's always a pissed off man. Fuck him. I don't want to talk to him. Right.
Yep.
Because they don't know. They don't know what led to that. So when you're in that one environment, that gets ingrained into your identity. Now you're in this new environment, and you need a dimmer switch. Then you can't just make that switch because one, how do you recognize and orient yourself to do it? And then it's hard because you lived almost 20 years one way, right? So
right.
Shoot, that's got to be unbelievably hard. Unbelievably hard.
Yeah, and really at that point in time, we didn't have. I think we got much better at this. I know we got much better at this towards the end of my career of having those people around that could help with that adjustment.
Sure.
So whether they were coming from the woods or the hood, we had people that could say, okay, listen, hey, I know you want to go hunting, but why don't you come in on Friday, get your workout done? That way your Saturday morning's free. Like you got to have people on your staff and around you to say, hey, that's big to that kid and where he comes from. Like he goes back home and goes hunting with his brothers and his uncle and his grandfather. Like that's a big deal. You let him go do that, he'll run through the brick wall for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't come from that. I didn't know. Or the vice versa. Somebody's grandma is sick and you don't know that the big mama is the matriarch of the family.
Yep.
And if big mama's sick, like you don't understand
the whole family's sick.
The whole family's sick. Like you don't know that. Like you should probably let that athlete go back to see Big Ma just for a couple of days. He'll come back. He'll run through the brick wall for you.
Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name, but Dean Smith, legendary coach in North Carolina.
Yeah.
He has a guy on his team, a player. I don't know his name. And it's a real unusual African name. The guy's from a country in Africa. And so I don't know his name. Let's say his name's Joe, but it's something that's really challenging. And he keeps talking with Joe, and like Joe is always just like this. Yes, coach, like this the whole time. Mm-hmm. And Dean and the other coaches are like, hey, dude, what's wrong with you? Look at us when we're talking to you. Right? And he goes, And he tries to look up and he looks back down. He goes, "Hey, look at us when you're talking to you." He goes, "Coach, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just talking where I come from. That to look you right in the eye is a sign of disrespect, and I don't want to do that to you, Coach."
Yeah.
And Dean's just like, "Okay." Well, 2 days later, the kid Joe gets a call from his mother, and big time change. And the mom calls and says, "Hey, there's I can't remember his name. The coach is I think his last name is Doherty." And he goes, "Hey, there's Coach Doherty here. Says he's from the University of North Carolina. And he says he's one of your coaches." And Joe's like, "Yeah, Mom, that's one of my coaches." "Well, what's he doing here?" And the coach gets on the phone with Joe and goes, "Joe, I thought we told you, but Dean was worried that there's other parts of your culture that we didn't understand. So he sent me here to live with your mom for a week or so. I'm at a hotel, and I'm just going to ask her questions and learn about where you came from.
Wow.
So that when he comes back, all right, we know how to incorporate you better, right?"
Wow.
Wow, right? That's Dean Smith. He's a Hall of Fame coach, right?
Wow.
So, right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We talk about some things like building athletes mentally, physically. And it kills me when people ask me, well, what's the one thing? My answer is always that there's never just one thing. It's too easy to say that. But a lot of times when I ask pros, what's the one thing they wish they did more? They'll say, absolutely, without a doubt, film study. But mentally or physically, going in as an 18-year-old going into college, or as a 20, 21, 22-year-old going into the pros, is there one or two things you said, man, I can get a hold of this kid who's 18 right now, I would say this. And if you go into the pros, I would say that. Any specific tips or tactics you want to drop on us?
Yeah, and it's something I didn't learn until the latter part of my career, but because we were searching for answers, and earlier questions in my career was, how do we better fuel athletes? Like, we got some athletes that are cramping. How do we stop that? Prevent them. We have some athletes that need to gain weight. They need to put on muscle and get stronger. How do we adjust that? How do we address that? Then it became, we have some athletes that don't move as well as other athletes. How can we help our athletes to move better? Oh, this word mobility, it became something. Let's do some hurdles, or let's open up these hips. Let's go to this track coach. Hey, track coach, you teach the hurdles. Should we be doing these hurdles with our other athletes? Can you show us? All right. Then it became, that became a thing. Then it became, hold on, it's not just about being strong, but how can we be more explosive and fast, like rate of force development? How can we train these athletes to be more explosive? Oh, then it became, wait a minute, we've worked so hard on explosiveness, we have not focused on absorption. Now we got athletes that jump, that can't land. All right. And we've got, all right. Then it became, well, what about stability? We need to focus on, what can we do? Well, we got these corrective exercises that we can do. And then we went down that path and started learning about that. Then it became, well, we got some of our best athletes, if we can just keep them on the field or the court, because the best ability is availability. What can we do? Well, should we look at learning more about the shoulder, learning more about the knee? Then it became, oh, well, we're in cadaver labs, and then we're in surgeries with orthopedic surgeons, learning about how all of this is working. And then you keep going. Then it's like, well, we need yoga, we need massage, we need Pilates, we need all of this stuff, because we need to tie it all together, because it's about core strength, and it's about, if we can have a stronger core, and then okay, then you keep working on that and going down that path. And then it became, okay, this sports science, well, we need to start measuring stuff in the tendo and rate and meters bar speed, meters per second. And oh boy, hold on, wait a minute. Then we can wear these devices that can connect with the satellite and GPS and see how fast athletes are moving, how far. Then it's player load. Hold on, they're doing too much. We need to pull back. And okay, and we keep growing and learning and adapting and overcoming. And And you have strength coaches that start going back to school and they're getting their PhDs and they're doing research. And now you're doing research in the weight rooms. And then you have strength coaches, physical therapists. Hey, let's bring them in the weight room and figure out how we can do some corrective biomechanics or whatever. And then it's like, we're missing something. We're missing something. I keep hearing coaches yell about focus and mental toughness. And, well, we're running them. They're in shape. What do you mean they're not mentally tough? Like, they can go 4 quarters. They won't ever quit. Then you keep asking questions. And then we got to a point where we realized, okay, those answers might be in a book or a classroom. And it's like, okay, well, you mean you can teach mental skills that apply in sport? Yeah, like the skills of focus. Oh, skills of focus. Focus is a skill. Yeah, it's a choice and a skill. Okay, I want my athletes to be focused. Okay, well, you need to learn the skills and how to teach those skills. And then your athletes can be focused if they apply it.
Mm.
All right, well, okay, staff meeting. All right, listen, we got to warm up correctly. We got to stretch correctly. We got to do foam rolling. We need to make sure we're doing correctives. We need to make sure that they show up, they take their vitamins. We need to hydrate, make sure they ate breakfast. We need to make sure that we've talked with the trainers and we're working around and we got individualized plans based around their injuries. And okay, good. Now we need to make sure that they're fired up and ready to go and do it rep after rep, play after play. All right, so we got to tie all this together. We got to make this work. So what's the most important aspect of all of this? Well, I think we worked in reverse of how we should have. We finished up with the mind and learning about it. Maybe we should have started there because everything starts with a thought.
Yeah.
Your thoughts affect your emotions affect your actions affect your
results.
Like, yeah. So we still have people that still today don't understand or know about the mindset or mentality of teaching mental conditioning, mental performance. We still are yelling and screaming and being frustrated because we don't know how to teach, because we don't understand how people learn. We don't understand the barriers that they have. We don't understand that the things that we're most frustrated by can be taught because we haven't learned how to teach it.
Sure.
So that's where I would start.
Yeah. That's, one, it's overwhelming hearing all that, right? It is. And everything evolves. They say you stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So whoever's really smart back in the day that learned algebra, well, I took algebra 1, 2, and trig, so I'm way smarter than that guy. That dude invented it, so he's pretty sweet. And then it just keeps constantly evolving. Same thing, strength conditioning, English language, whatever. The mindset as well, because it pushes everything. It directs you. It's your identity, it's your core values, etc. Then there's people learning about that, and whether it's your parents with their positives and negatives growing up, whatever they have, it funnels down to you, and then me to my kids, my positives and negatives of who I am. Same thing with your coaches. The coaches learned one thing, but they didn't learn the others. Well, they're only as good as what they've learned and what they've been around. So their positive and negatives, they're bringing their baggage, their emotional baggage, they're bringing to the table, their biases, right?
Yep.
They're coming to the table. Well, that's what's feeding into the team. And since we're all imperfect, here we are as a race and as a team. When you bring these people in physically and mentally, at that point you have to triage and prioritize and execute, Jocko would say. So I don't need to be working on a tendon unit on their meters per second if they can't do an air squat, right? If they can't squat 135, who cares about them moving 500 pounds fast? And then mentally, if you can't look in the eye for 2 seconds, they're going to have problems paying attention for 2 minutes. You guys got to bring it all together. And what I try to do and what you try to do is, if you can find what their habit needs to be to help move the needle, and in a week or a month, reassess, and then evolve the habit. And I saw you talk a lot here in your resume, which is, outstanding, by the way. Mental toughness, mental health, mental fortitude, focus. What are some processes you guys utilize to take that athlete as a rookie or as a freshman and evolve them to an all-conference level player mentally? What are some things you guys do for that?
I think we don't start with the foundation enough on just about anything. But we got to know what the foundation is. And then you got to see if there's a subfloor, if there's something below that foundation. So if I want to make sure my athletes are motivated, what's impacting their motivation?
There's so many answers to that question.
There's a lot. And so, but if I look at some research, if I look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I look at the basic needs, psychological needs, physiological needs, because I'm trying to have athletes reach self-actualization, meaning they want to be all that they can be, and they can be all that they can be. They reach their potential. So I want people to be able to reach their potential. But we got to go through self-esteem and all of those things. But the foundation says that the basic needs, food, water, shelter, do we start there? Because you go to some places and food insecurity is a real deal. Where that athlete is sleeping, are they sleeping on someone's sofa, in their car?
Mm-hmm.
Is that being taken care of? You have good clothes and things like that. And you go to some high schools or some colleges, and that is not being taken care of. I had athletes stealing packs of bologna from the grocery store, losing their scholarship because they're hungry for a pack of bologna.
Mm.
One of my teammates, he was 3 times the player I was. Watched him leave and don't know whatever happened. So if we can't start there and make sure that that's taken care of, and then make sure that we're caring about the athletes so that they can develop good self-esteem and reach self-actualization, it's really hard for them to show up and be motivated to do the things we're asking them to do, or think the way we want them to think, respond the way we want them to respond. So if they don't have these basic needs, I'm going to have to focus on extrinsic and external motivation constantly to get that athlete to do what I'm asking them to do. That's working towards their goals.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's not the best way to do things, right? I want you to be self-motivated. So I want you to have intrinsic and internal motivation. So what do I need to do to make sure that that's happening? I got to know you. I got to know your background. I got to know how you're living. And I have to know what makes you tick. And then I can give you some external, extrinsic when you need it. But mostly I want you to have what you need to get yourself going, so you can look at your teammates and go, we got us. I got me, you got you, we got us.
That intrinsic piece, that identity piece, that's more powerful, and it's more sustainable long term. The extrinsic piece is just temporary. Hey, that girl's in the stands looking at me play, right? Versus I'm doing this for my whole family. I'm doing this for my faith. I'm doing this for the guys next to me and my teammate, right? That's power, right?
Right.
In the Marines, their unit is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their unit is that's it, right? God's after the unit.
Yeah.
So that external stuff is fleeting. It's like some pre-workout. It helps for a little bit, but it's not what keeps you going.
Right.
When you go in the NFL, All I know is what I see on TV, right? So they have the combine, and now you're just this piece of cattle, and here's the weight and the speed of this piece of cattle, right? This livestock, but that mindset is key because it pushes you. How much do those teams put weight on the mental piece? Hey, this person's strong background, self motivated, he humble, coachable. So he takes all the pieces where he's making mistakes and adjusts quickly. Ego's put off the side. None of that baggage, so that he can then focus and then let the kid play, right? Let him go, let him run. He can. If I know if I'm upset and I'm trying to play, parents are screaming at me or girl broke up with me. If I'm upset and I can't help myself self-soothe, then I can't focus. I'm playing slow. My head's somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like all the teams ever care about is the physical numbers, and then not the mental piece. But isn't the mental piece what pushes everybody? Like Tom Brady's physical numbers were dog shit, but he's so driven that he just kept going.
Right.
Kept evolving, right?
Right.
What's the reality there? A little both? Not a little both?
You at the highest level, you got to have everything, and you got to be working on your weaknesses, but if you don't have it mentally, no amount of physical ability is going to save you. You have to have it mentally. You have to have the skills, the mental skills, or you won't last. And I can tell you something I had that was good enough to help me get there, but not stay like I wanted to stay. And I was trying to prove some people wrong. Like some people that doubted me, some people that said the wrong thing to piss me off or whatever. And then I made it. And then all of a sudden, where was my motivation beyond that? So when I became a coach, I made sure that the athletes I was coaching, hey, it's not good enough, excuse me, to make it, to get there. I want to get to the NFL or wherever, NBA. You want to make it in that profession. So what does it take for that? Because that just getting there, really, if you just follow the program and you're here, you're a Division I athlete, you're going to have a shot. Now, you want to make it because you need to start framing your mind for that right now. There's a difference.
Yeah, I 100% am on board with this. The podcast is called Athlete Builder, and the mantra is win the day. And I think you encompassed that mantra with your last thought, with this most current thought, and making it somewhere, proving someone else wrong is extrinsic. I made it. Here you go. Here's your money, blah, blah, blah. I proved that person wrong. This happened, right? So on this moment, on that day, you won. What about tomorrow? It's not there. So when I have athletes that come in and say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, these moms and dads, I'm like, great. So, but what happens when you lose 20? Then what? Well, I don't know. I guess I'm done. No. If you set up so you win the day, there's challenges mentally, physically each day, then tomorrow there's still something. And if you're trying to be the best version of yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever, tomorrow comes, there's no goal line. It's infinite. So that you're not just happy because you got this contract or you made it to this place. It's a great milestone. Definitely be happy, celebrate for sure, right? Enjoy that moment and realize that your identity is still the next day, because the NFL is still just an experience. Even if you're awesome and you play 10 years, it's only 10 out of 75, right?
Right.
So what are you doing then? What happens then? And if you're always, I think that way, at least for me, it keeps me driven. I'm not playing the NFL. I just turned 50 yesterday, so I'm not going anywhere. I was never even close to that. So, but I can still develop and be the best version of myself, and my athletes can. And then when they're done, they're trained to do that as a spouse, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, or whatever. Because now it's back to being intrinsic, like you said. Man, I love that piece.
Yeah. And so something that was popular a few years ago, and then maybe the popularity kind of tailed off. But Carol Dweck wrote a book called Growth Mindset, as opposed to having a fixed mindset. And a growth mindset, if you can operate in the now. So my saying and call and response that my athletes, if I can call them today and they'll give they know the response is, where are you? The response is right here, right now.
Okay.
And that's how I would start any lifting session. Where are you? Right here, right now. Even before we start any practice, as soon as I finish stretching them, before they go off to their coaches, I yell it out, where are you? Everybody goes, right here, right now. And I go, focus. And then, so it's a big deal to be in the present. Now, you pair that with having a growth mindset that says, I can get better. There's things that I need to get better at. There's things I need to learn. I want to learn. I'm able to learn. I need to learn. Mm-hmm. I'm a learner. And that right there gives you, some coaches say, I want you to be 1% better every day. Well, growth mindset says that's possible. Fixed mindset says I am who I am, and
right.
I don't need to, and I'm a baller.
Yeah,
man, I'm a gamer. I need you to get better and practice every day. I need you to have that mindset that you're going to be deliberate about practice. You're going to show up every day to find one thing to get better at.
Yeah. When you say I am this, it's so powerful because it's all your mind and your identity. So you could say, I'm an inner city kid from Detroit. I can't talk country. I'm a country boy. I don't understand the city.
Right.
I'm a Catholic. I don't get this. I'm an atheist. I don't get that.
Right.
Now, so if you say, hey, I'm trying to be the best version, all that shit goes away. So one of our core values is Kaizen, a Japanese term, which is just get better at everything all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, say, I'm a guy that focuses on Kaizen, and that's now it's broad. You're not pigeonholed and stuck.
Yep.
I'm trying to get better, right? I'm white, yep. I'm black, I'm short, I'm tall, whatever. I'm working on getting better. So yep. I'm an athlete, so which means I'm getting better. So I love that right here, right now. Once I start thinking about the past, I end up feeling guilty about mistakes. I start looking to the future, about the unknowns. I start getting anxious.
Yep.
And I'm like, shit. You know what? Here are my targets. Here are my tasks for the day. I know I need to step back and be directional about the future and then learn from the past. I get that.
Yep.
But if I'm right here, right now, I'm just checking off boxes and getting shit done. I just feel better. Right? I don't feel the stress and the strain because I'm just getting stuff done.
That's where performance happens.
That's right. Yes.
Performance happens in the now. And if you're here to deliver a great performance, then it happens in the present moment.
Yep. It does. Oh, man, I'm having a fantastic time. Thank you. Third point you wrote here, because I haven't had to ask the questions. You already led me, and I'm the interviewer. So I'm throwing this out there first before you say it. Okay. So servant leader dichotomy, right? Servant, you're below, leader, you're above. One's pushing, one's pulling. Talk about servant leader.
Yeah, it's knowing that people aren't here for you, but you're here for people. But you still need people. Mm-hmm. I still need people. We still need each other. But if I'm here to serve, I'm here to help people win. So I'm a winner. I want to help other people win and be the best version of themselves. And if you can be the best version of yourself, that's a win for me. And so that's what I am trying to do is I make no mistakes. I'm a winner. I want to win. Do I take losses? I learn. Other people say it's a loss. That's for them to label. For me, what did I learn? What do I need to get better at? Where do I need to focus my attention?
The loss is just is a measuring tool. You get 100% on the calculus exam, you get a 70%. You guys score enough points. It's a measuring tool. Yep. Your winning the day approach is, did I eat well all week long? Did I get all my film work done? And then was I fully prepared to do the extra work? Yep. Did I get my teammates around me better so we both have a shot? like my son plays linebacker in he plays outside, but in the last game, the middle guy went down, the mic went down, and so they moved him over.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, I haven't been playing that much. And I'm like, well, we've talked about this. That shit happens. If you knew the positions around you perfectly, then the transformation is seamless, right?
Right.
So all that rolls in, and yeah, you get measured on wins and losses. I do too. You get measured on your paycheck. You get measured in your taxes. But you set up those metrics also about your effort to get the training and all that stuff. Then you can adjust and then get better. And then no one's getting there alone. Teamwork's another core value like Kaizen.
Yeah.
And then it's the people above you, below you, and around you that makes it critical. What about I meant to start out earlier in this because I like to go chronologically. What was your talent as a rookie that you had to perform in front of the team? Are you singing? Are you dancing? Are you doing magic tricks? You doing card tricks? Like,
yeah, I did an impersonation. This probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I was on defense and I impersonated the offensive coordinator. You know, the guys laughed. They thought it was funny.
right?
So, but that was probably not the best thing to do. But we did a skit, and I'm not going to say what we did, but yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I would do something different. Like, it's probably not the best thing to do is to make fun of your coaches when you're a rookie free agent. Like that's
Maybe.
not the best thing.
I don't know if you watch Hard Knocks, but like one of the earliest ones is the Ravens.
Yeah.
And that guy comes in there acting like he is Shannon Sharp. You know, if you've seen that, he's screaming for Ray and for Goose, for Saragusa.
Yeah.
And that was, man, I pulled that skit up just a year ago, and that thing's been over with for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Jack, you got to watch this, man. I know you think that Aiden singing Billie Jean for the Lions was good, and it was. Yeah. But you got to see them making fun of Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharp. But
yeah, now I'll go back. I can remember what I had to do when I was a freshman in college.
Okay.
I actually sang The Gambler.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. See, my dad's a truck driver.
From Kenny Rogers.
So, yeah. My dad's a truck driver, and he's retired now. But I was exposed to all different kinds of music and things like that. So obviously, that was one of his favorite songs. So, man, I had it memorized. So I sang it and blew the guys away, and they were surprised. And yeah, I didn't think it was that strange, but.
And you're did you meet your wife in college or after college?
Yeah, during college. But yeah, it's one of the best things to do.
Well, she got a PhD also, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's a professor.
So that's big brains and big loans at first for a lot of people, you know. But man, intelligent conversation, yeah. But you got smart little kids too, don't you?
My oldest daughter, graduates from college, The Ohio State, this weekend, and then she has an internship, animal science, in DC this summer, and then she is going straight to her PhD in college in regenerative medicine and animal science.
It's hard to even say, let alone get through.
Yeah, I've practiced it a few times because I've gotten it wrong. And then my youngest daughter is a author and also an entrepreneur and does crocheting, has her Etsy business, and yeah, she's doing well as well. She does well as well.
Dang. Okay. Good parents. That's got to be it. What's another teachable moment that you said, hey, man, I probably shouldn't have done this? I can tell you, you know, when I tell my kids, don't do these things. Well, you did it, Dad. I said, yes, that's how I know not to do it.
Right.
I have had beer out of a funnel. I know what that's like. You know, that's retarded. You know, so you can't be doing that shit. You can't be doing it. You can't be doing it thinking that you're doing well the next day.
Yeah.
No, but I'm 50 now and I wasn't 19 at the time. And, you know, hopefully a little wiser.
Yeah.
you got any of those for us? That, man, you will not believe what these kids are doing in college or even in the pros, and they're trying to be performing at a high level. You don't need to drop any names.
You know, there's a point in time we probably were doing more than they are doing now. We didn't have these things, this thing
Yeah.
with cameras, different lenses everywhere.
Right.
We didn't have that. We could go out to the club. We can act a fool. We can make mistakes. You could quote unquote blow off steam. I have not heard young people use that term. I don't think they know what that means because they can't blow off steam. And part of me, that's concerning. Like, you can't go and blow off some steam. Like, well, the truth is, we probably right now can't really. I mean, we can be discreet about it. We know how to do it, and our ways of blowing off steam is may not put us in as many situations that are uncompromising, but we can still find some trouble. But I think it's important to recognize that there's some challenges with socializing today than we had.
There's that with there's all these cameras in the establishments, and plus everyone's holding one.
Yes.
So then whatever you do is out there. So there's way increased accountability. I think that's one huge challenge. Obviously, the second huge challenge is I talked to some. I have 6 kids between me and my wife, and it's a Brady bunch, 3 and 3. Nice. And I've seen kids at my gym that we've coached and all, and I'll say, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I'm going to ask this girl out." I'm like, "Okay," and I'm like, "Well, how are you going to do that?" He goes, "Well, I'm going to send her a text." Like, so just the way they relate socially is different.
Yeah.
And then when they're having a conversation, like I'm in this podcast, I'm supposed to be looking at this camera. I'm so ingrained. I'm looking right at your face.
Yeah.
Because I just you look somebody in the eye, Jim.
Right.
And that's different now too.
Yeah.
So when coaches like grabbing you by your face, Max, and say, "Hey, pay attention now," that's like a whole new world, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are some coaches that still get in your face and they may do some grabbing, but in transfer portal, NIL, day and age, you may want to treat them differently than how we got treated. You may want to, and I'll give you an example. I'm having some conversations with some coaches, and they're wanting to get at the root of someone's behavioral health issues, and they're wanting to go about it in a way that it would be compromising for me in my role to allow that to happen or to assist in that. So, but I say we have a staff here that can help with behavioral health. Like, you don't have to run them anymore because something's not right with them. You don't have to yell and scream. Like, we have people here that can help with that. So can you make the adjustment, coach, to realize that there are professionals that can help you in an area that you currently don't fully understand?
It takes some, humility to say, okay, I'm going to turn over the reins and that control and power to someone else.
Yeah.
You got to be humble there and vulnerable. And then even to this day, like it's sometimes it's so sad for me. I'll be talking to someone and I'm explaining this to them and they don't get it. And I'm like, how does this person not get it? Well, I lived a whole different life than that other person has. So yeah, they don't have my experiences. They don't know what I know. I don't know what they know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they don't get it, I'm like, I just told you. How come you don't get it? What's the matter with you, dumbass? Right? and next thing you know, that person's pissed. Can you believe it?
Yep.
And then performance is bad. And my job is to improve performance.
Yep.
Right? So that's bad. That's bad. What about What about what I've noticed with two things? Nick Saban and the next Manning kid. Nick Saban's like, well, I can't develop kids anymore. I can't, it was a transfer portal. I got to play right now or I'm gone. How much money, how much you pay me next year? And his whole identity has been ingrained for 80 years. Like he's gone things about a certain way. For him to adapt and evolve and change, it's going to be monumental, right? Then the next Manning kid at Texas, he's a backup. And what I've heard from TV, right? What do you know from TV, right? You don't know shit. Hey, we're cool with him waiting and learning and spending all his time because you need to develop. I mean, no one's given any rookie quarterback in the NFL the Peyton Manning level of interceptions his rookie year, where he set the record. So on the one hand, no one can get developed because you're always looking for the next deal up and the NIL deal and transfer portal. But once you get to the NFL or at a high level, if there's still more required development. If you don't have it, then you're gone, right? You don't get 10 years. You don't get 6 years. You get a year. Like people are starting as rookies at the hardest position, right?
Yep.
So can you talk about that a little bit? Like, how do you keep a whole team together? Like at the smaller schools, they're bringing in 40, 50 a year, 20 to 24 in your recruiting class, and then 20 to 24 in the portal. That's half a team. And then the better schools, there's still turnover there because some people aren't playing so early, but there are also some people trading up. And then they still haven't been developed. And then you go to the NFL, and then it's like, well, you better play now or we're done. And it's not the strongest that survived or the smartest that survived. It's one that adapted the best. That's what Darwin said. So now this is the new norm. How do you adapt to that? And I bet if you have the answer to that question, you got like millions and millions of dollars waiting for you tomorrow.
So I'm going to start with Coach Saban. I truly believe that Coach Saban could coach today and would do a hell of a job coaching because Coach Saban never stopped learning. I was in a meeting today where Coach Saban was used as an example of doing something, working with this digital platform that no other coach is currently working with.
Wow.
So
wow.
I'm not Coach. First of all, Coach Saban was so far ahead of everyone else. Like to me, Coach Saban wanted to do something else. It was time for him to do something else. He's very good at what he's doing now. I enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
But Coach Saban could he would dominate coaching today. Coach Saban would figure this thing out. He would figure out NIL, transfer portal, developing quarterbacks. He would figure this. He would figure it out because he
always has.
When it comes to sports psych, when Alabama and Coach Saban did it, we did it. When Coach Saban was doing other things, everybody else did it.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Saban was on the cutting edge. And so I love listening to him. I learn from him all the time. And I'll tell you, so my dissertation for my doctorate degree was exploring the live psychosocial aspects of elite NFL football players. Because I saw it and I knew there was some things that they had that I didn't have. And as a coach, I wanted to have it for my guys. So they had it. So I interviewed Pro Bowlers, Super Bowlers, starters in the NFL. And top round draft picks. They just happen to be guys that I've coached so I had access to them and the research board approved all of this. So
awesome.
What I found was like, what is it? Like, what's the secret sauce? I want to know. Like, I'm still chasing this thing, trying to figure out what did Junior Seau have and these other guys had that I didn't have, and I was trying to develop. And eventually I figured it out. But the big finding, the big overarching thing was that the best of the best do it for the names on the back of their jerseys. They do it for the name on the back. So if you're a Smith, you're a BB or an Ivey, whether it's your company, whether it's your family, whether it's your jersey, you're doing it for that, like the best of the best. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like that's what's driving that intrinsic motivation, that self-determination, like all of that. I'm
Yes.
like, oh, okay. So I finish up my PhD. I finish up the work. I graduate. I go to the AFCA conference, and another coach from was ACC coach. He's up on stage. He's presenting. He's like, "There's no I in team. It's big team, little me. It's only about the team. It's only about the name on the front of the jersey." And I'm going like, "Man, coach, the elite. That's not what I found." And man, I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I think you're an average coach because of that." That's what I'm thinking. Because when that coach was walking off stage, as he was walking off, Coach Saban was walking on stage. I think they shook hands or whatever. Coach Saban got up on stage and he says, "It's about the individual. It's about making sure that each individual is maximized to the best of their ability. It's about making sure every player has what they need so that they can be the best person and player that they can be. And then when we bring all of these players together that are the best that they can be, we can be the best team." Well, he went on to win several national championships.
Yep.
And so for me, I think if Nick Saban thought like that then, that was 2014, like January 2014, I heard that presentation. He was thinking like that 10 years ago. No other coach, you wouldn't hear any other coach saying it was the opposite of what all other coaches were saying. It was big team, little me. It was, no, it ain't about you. It's about the team. All right. And then like, you need to get your job done. It's like, what a hypocrite.
Right.
You know, and so keeping the team together, NIL, developing quarterbacks, we have to shift to what does each individual need on your team? How can you get them the resources they need to maximize, to self-actualize who they are as a person, as a player, so that when they show up to your locker room and on your field, they're the most complete person that they can be. They've had the resources, they've got answers, they got the right motivations. And then when you say, "Okay, this is what we got today," they go, "Yes, coach, this is what we have today," because they're not distracted by these things that they don't have, or you don't care, or no, my coach cares, my coach is aware. And this is an environment that when practice is over, they're going to care about me.
That whole Maslow or the hierarchy of needs, love and an abandonment, right? The opposite. So that's at the top, right? No one wants to be alone and abandoned like that. That coach doesn't care about me. My spouse doesn't care about me. My friends don't care about me. I'll be by myself, alone. That's like deathly afraid. Deathly, people are deathly afraid of that. And all right, I got someone here. I'm okay. I'm safe. Right? I can do this.
Yeah.
Now I also got someone that believes in me. I'm getting results. Now the confidence goes up big time because you had some really great reps now, emotional reps, physical reps. And then you see people go beyond their potential, right? That's that magic piece at the end there. Now, it's easier for me to sit there and say, all right, guys, we're all squatting today. Everybody, you need to have 1.2 grams of protein per pound of lean mass. Everyone needs this, right? Here's the rule, right? You must have 1 gallon of water, whatever. It's harder, and if you don't, and when you're a smaller team or city or whatever, you have less resources, so you don't have someone tailoring things as much to the needs of each individual. So that makes it hard. Like the Ohio States of the world got gazillions of dollars for their resources, right? The Kent states of the world have less, but that's still as best as you can. And show me a different industry, right? You want to have a great financial team at the bank. Work with those people individually and maximize their potential. It's not different. No. It just takes more labor, right?
Yep. You have to be intentional.
Yes. All right. Faster.
Yes.
Faster.
All right.
That's an acronym you got here.
Yeah. It's well, we had to come up with something that we could remember without always looking at our notes.
Right.
You're a coach and you got to keep looking at your notes after
Sure.
people like, and you want us to remember this? Like, so so acronyms are great ways to remember things. And so we're like, well, what's a good acronym? And it's like, I want to come up with one that's like faster. Like, we want to be faster. What does it take to be faster? And it was like, how do we tie in everything that we want them to do from a nutritional aspect into this?
Okay.
And so it took us a while to come up with it. And so F, and it's not written in front, it's ingrained. It's been ingrained for years. F, fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Right? Fill up with fruits and vegetables. A, always hydrate. S, start with breakfast.
Yes.
T, think lean protein.
Ooh.
E,
Right.
eat often.
Okay.
R, rest and recover.
Okay.
Repeat.
All right. The best processes are simple and repeatable, right?
Yep.
Those are things that no one's going to say, don't be hydrated. That's why you're cramping. That's why you're cramping. You see it always in those first couple games down south in the heat. People are cramping. Yep. Trainers are running out there stretching legs.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to have to have you email me that again because I didn't write it all down fast enough.
Oh, let's run it back because there's people listening right now. I'm going to run it back.
Fruit and vegetables. Yeah.
Fruits and vegetables. A, always hydrate.
All right.
S, start with breakfast. Breaking your fast. Like, you're talking about grits and eggs and shrimp and grit? No. Just breaking your fast. Whatever it is for you. It might be yogurt. Maybe you got a 6 a.m. lift. You don't want to. Maybe it's a banana. You break your fast.
Okay.
All right. T, think lean protein. Because just thinking protein wasn't good enough. We got to think lean protein.
Okay.
All right. E, eat often. So you don't want to just have one. You're an athlete. These are athletes. You don't want to just have one big meal. Your metabolism moving slow. No. Yep. Eat often. R, rest, recover. And then I just threw an extra one in there. Repeat.
Rest, recover, repeat. Got it. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah.
What are your plans going forward? I know you're like entrepreneurial. You're also academic, right? Those are two different.
I'm confused. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
All right.
I don't know. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, very much so. Recently received a promotion that'll be, I don't know when this podcast comes out, so it'll be announced at some point soon.
Okay.
And I'm growing, I'm learning. Every day is challenging. It's fun. I'm pushing the envelope with the people I oversee and work with, trying to be the best servant leader I can for them. I remember the most frustrating aspects of my job when I was a strength and conditioning coach was a lot of the administrative processes. Just like, why do we have to go through so many hoops? Like, if I need to make a decision in the weight room as a strength coach, I just do it. And now it takes what I want to get done in a day, I got to get done in a week administratively. And that's true. Like, what I want to get done in a day is going to take me a week as an administrator. What I want to get done in a week is going to take me a month. What I want to get done in a month is going to take me a year. And if it's something that's bigger than that, I'm like, I'd like to do it before I retire. Like as an administrator, that's how, because you're moving bigger. The cargo you're moving as an administrator is bigger, is heavier, is there's a lot more going on. Not as nimble as just coaching.
Right.
And I think that's something I've learned. And so for me, what's next? I mean, I'm fascinated by entrepreneurship. It's tough though when I've been institutionalized for so long, working in higher education. But it's still fun to try to pursue it.
Yeah. You work mostly with football athletes or lots of different sports?
All sports.
All sports.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. I'm working with a few girls, and they're on a collegiate rowing team, the crew team. And force is still mass times acceleration. No getting around it.
Yep.
And they're exerting force on that oar in that water to propel that boat as fast as possible. And the main method of training outside of the boat is just more time on and in the boat. And it's not lifting.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, there's a force component. Like if you're a certain weight and I'm more forceful than you, I'm gonna win as long as I don't gas out. So if I have the same cardio as you and I can build more powerful on that pull, like the boat's moving faster, right? And she's like, yeah. I said, well, how come you guys don't lift at all? And they're like, we're told just to row more. I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, the first article I ever wrote was a rowing article. I did not want to write a rowing article.
Okay.
But that was the only way that I was going to get published. It was in an NSCA journal, 2003 or 2004. So we're going back 20 years.
Wow.
And I wrote it with my graduate assistant. And I learned a lot because I had never worked with rowing. So I had to do my research and
Yeah.
Have conversations with the coaches and read. And you learn that when you are rowing, that you have to spend the off season balancing up because you're generally working one side of your body in a certain repetitive motion.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates imbalance in your body. And if you are unbalanced and you keep repeating that same movement, then the chances of injury, right, is higher. So how do you balance up? If coach can say, well, we're going to have them row on the opposite side, that's better than just continuing to row on the same side.
Sure.
But you have to do some sort of strength training, resistance training to build up that base of strength so you can apply it, and there's more power. And then, of course, lever arms play a role as well. So, someone that's 5'2" probably is not going to be as good a rower as someone that's 6'2".
That's right.
But a 6'2" coxswain is not going to be good as probably a 5'2" coxswain.
That's right. Yeah. At the bank, we gave out books every year as gifts because you can only give out certain things. So it's a really regulated industry. And one year, the book is called The Last Amateurs, and it's a book on rowing. And it's the boat race. It's Oxford versus Cambridge, which some people look at that as elite to the Olympics. It's more important to win that race than the Olympics. Sometimes some people will leave Stanford and they'll go to row for Cambridge and then skip the Olympics because they want to win this race. And so that there's what always got me in this sport was how long those people were in pain. The football's in pain for 4 to 6 seconds over and over again, right?
Right.
These people are in tremendous pain. It's a full sprint for that 2,000 meters or whatever the race is, but usually it's around there, sometimes 3. and they are just in so much pain because they're getting, their lungs are on fire, their legs are on fire, everything's on fire for so long. Like the 400-meter race, which is really painful, but now it's longer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I was just blown away. And I watched the Boys in the Boat movie this last year. It just came out about that rowing team out of I think it was Berkeley, California. And they're calling out, the coxswain's calling out 42, 44. That's that strokes per minute.
Mm-hmm.
And having a gym, and we have rowers and erg machines. 44, and my heart is in my ear. Like it's so bad at a 44 stroke a minute, and they're pulling so hard. I'm like, oh my God, just the level of pain there.
Yeah.
You still lift? You still train, Pat?
I do. I train pretty regularly. I actually had a really bad motorcycle accident 8.5 weeks ago. So I'm having to do a lot of rehab. I'm in physical therapy, but I was able to. I've been able to squat for the last couple of weeks, so I'm getting back to where I was. But I train pretty regularly. I have a gym here at my house, and I usually lift 5 days a week, probably.
What do you like to listen to when you train? Is it still the Rambler or the Gambler and different music, or is it quiet?
It's different. It depends on my mood. It depends on the time of the year. It depends on if I'm lifting before work or after work, or if I'm going to wake other people up. If I can, if no one's at home and I can turn the music all the way up, then I don't know. Who knows what I'm going to be listening to? But it's a little bit of everything. Something I tried to do was appreciate all types of music, because the athletes I coached appreciated all types of music. And my goal was to have them appreciate each other. And one of the best ways you can do that is have them appreciate each other's music.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to like it, but I really need you to respect. And if you can go beyond respecting it and appreciate someone else's music choice, maybe their culture is tied deeply into that. But if you can get to that point, we can be a better team. So, but if I'm going to preach that to the team, then I've got to exemplify that as well. So I really, from metal to country to rap to R&B, reggae, blues, jazz, like I love it all. I've lifted to just about everything, probably. We used to have a group that would come in on Sundays in season, and they wanted to lift. Like the team, we would start around 11 o'clock. There was a group of guys that wanted to go to church, so we called them the church group. And the church group wanted to listen to gospel music and lift. And the church group would get after it, listening to some gospel music.
Yeah. I've seen that. That is real. What's a bucket list adventure activity or destination for you and just your wife, and you could not have done it yet?
I think Greece is on our list. I've got a person I work with, Dr. Andreas Tomatis. He's from Greece. And yeah, he's from there. It's so authentic. And he said his mom would cook for us every day. So
that'd be awesome. How about a favorite sports movie or movies?
Wow. A lot of them.
Right.
The one that sticks in my mind that's kind of problematic for me right now is The Blind Side, because of the stories that came out after the movie. But I think that was a good movie.
It's a shameless plug. So this is the second book I published recently, and I'm one of 30. I'm one of 30 authors. It's a collaboration. The publisher liked what I did in the first book, so they asked me to do the second book. And Quentin Aaron, right? Quentin Aaron's From the Shadows to the Spotlight. That's his chapter, My Journey to the Blind Side. So he's the actor in the film.
Wow.
And if you read his story in here, right, because the story's all about it's called Triumphs of Transformation. It's about resilience. And he's an actor. He's a big boy, man, 6'8", 440. When I talked to him a few weeks ago, and he and his brother were getting evicted from their apartment that week when he landed that role with The Blind Side, and he came through and he got paid.
Wow.
Right, he was out, and despondent.
Wow.
But he ended up landing that job, and then he kept continuing to land other small and medium-sized jobs, and that was a big one, right? So, that story's in there. It was pretty neat.
That's cool.
That's cool. It's neat dude. Big dude, man. Dang.
Yeah.
You got any favorite sport to watch?
Football. Come on.
All right. Favorite athlete?
Current or
anyone?
All time.
See, I like watching football too, but my favorite athlete isn't in football.
Yeah. I'm at University of Louisville, so I love watching Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I absolutely love watching him play. But back in the day, my favorite athlete was Lawrence Taylor.
Oh wow.
That was my
wrecking people.
I used to study Lawrence Taylor. I used to watch the VHS tapes. I couldn't get enough of Lawrence Taylor. I had number 56 and at one point, and then I couldn't anyway. Yeah. I love Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. I remember him on cover Sports Illustrated a number of times. I remember Player of the Year.
Yep.
Yeah. Outstanding. Favorite book?
Probably, it's hard to beat Purpose Driven Life. That was a strong book. I read Bobby Bowden's book. I can't remember the name of it, but I just read them at a critical time when I was right before I was a director, my first director job. And then there was a book called Jesus CEO. I read those 3 books right before I became a director, and that really just helped me to have a good foundation of the type of coach I wanted to be.
Good. I like that. I haven't heard those 3 yet on the show yet, and you can tell from the books behind us. Like, I'm a reader, then there's my wife. Between the two of us, we have technically what the U.S. would call a library. You have to have 1,000. We have 1,000. We have 1,100 books. You have to have 1,000 to be a library.
Wow.
So she reads more than I do, but we're big readers. Yeah. How about favorite? You have a favorite superhero and villain? It could be fictional. It could be non-fictional.
Favorite superhero? It's got to be Batman.
Some people say they're, you might say your grandmother, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How about villain?
Favorite villain? Man. I don't really know that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know that one. I'm not the biggest superhero person either. So
sure.
That's yeah.
How about like when you're in the gym? What's your favorite lift?
I mean, between squats and deadlifts is one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a favorite quote?
Athletes don't know how much you care. I'm sorry, athletes don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right. You gotta know that part. It's just the way it is. Yep. It's just human nature.
Yep.
Even if you're right.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. And I would say another one would be the biggest ability is availability. Okay. I think that's something that's helped to drive my career.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where I know you got 2 other podcasts and your own entrepreneurial endeavor. Where can people find you?
Just go to pativey.com, PATIVEY.com. And I put a lot of content out there and just trying to share my journey and my experiences and, stay part of the discussion.
Awesome. For those that continue to have questions for our guests, I've been able to funnel those to our guests. Email us info@athlete-builder.com. And if you're looking for Christmas gifts, The Athlete Builder, The Blueprint to Build Champion Athletes, that book, my book, published the week before Thanksgiving. So it's out there right now. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online, so you can order that. And there's also digital copies, so check that out. Pat, great having you on. And I could tell when we got on the phone the other day, and just when things got started beforehand, it was just going to be a fun time for me. So selfishly, it's been great. Learned a lot, and then had some good stories, and I had a blast, man. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and your effort and knowledge. I appreciate it.
This is really cool. I wish the best for you, for your listeners, and let's continue to grow together.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pat.
Take care.